Hey, what's up there, mutants? You got Johnny Brento here on another exciting edition of Johnny Brento's JuJu. Yay! Wanted to give you guys a quick vlog update because vlogs are cool. Actually, you might notice over here that you can't see it because I'm looking at this through my work proxy, but there's actually already. This particular article is already posted, so I was a little bit remiss in my vlogging duties this week. But I realized after posting, sometimes I have my Johnny Brento's JuJu set up, on Sunday or Monday to go Wednesday, and that's what happened this week. But so much stuff has happened that I thought it would make sense to go ahead and give you guys a quick vlog to go along with it, especially considering that I promised a vlog at the bottom of the post, of my Brento's Budget Filmmaking Podcast. Speaking of Brento's Budget Filmmaking Podcast, if you guys are interested in listening ahead, I typically have at least 5 in advance posted on the Facebook page. I created a huge backlog of these because I wasn't sure about one of the challenges to doing a podcast is that you have to have a regular release schedule, and everybody knows Mutantville life is crazy, and of course in addition to that I got my own projects and my band and whatnot. So to assure that I could release the podcast weekly, I wanted to have a certain amount of them in backlog, so I did like 18 or 20 or so in backlog. So as I put them up to Libsyn, they're automatically posted to the fan page. And if you haven't seen the fan page, just go check out, do a search for Brento's Budget Filmmaking on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one there, so do check that out. As I might have mentioned earlier, I'm not sure on the article, but progressively they get longer. Capping off at I think maybe the longest one was like 25 minutes. I don't want to bore you to death, and I try to have content as king. If I have a lot to talk about or a lot of points to make, it'll be a longer podcast. But on to the bullet list. If I were to turn the camera around, you would see right here that I have a ginormous bulleted list of things to talk about. So it's always good to have a chat plan. Otherwise, you end up like Strebo and you have like a 3-hour vlog or something like that, and those are hard to watch. But whatever, just kidding. So Mother of Vampire script. I'm into the third act, well into the third act now, and it's going really well. Probably about once every 4 days I have time to dedicate to sitting down and writing that and getting the environment in here where I don't have my son over here playing video games or the store open and whatnot. My office is actually in the back of Albemarle Nutrition, so that's our store, and when it's busy, it's kind of hard to focus back here because there's a lot of women talking and meditation music going on up there, and it's ironic how much meditation music really distracts me from writing. If it were me, I'd be listening to Iron Maiden, for inspirational music, but that's not the case. Moving right along, in addition to that, on the Mother of Vampires front, we've started casting. We've talked to a couple individuals about some of the really pivotal roles, and no real announcements on that front yet. Had some interest, but we have yet to do readings, and I learned that lesson the hard way, casting people that I thought, based on what I've seen, that they could do a great job, and I'm going to read everybody, and that's just, hopefully nobody will take offense at that because I've just been burned too badly on that, in particular on Respawn, or just, it's funny, man, it's really funny, but I think it's just pivotal that everybody, when you're casting something, you absolutely have people read for the role that they're going to play, preferably with the actors that are going to be playing opposite them. Hey, not that this is news, but I'm getting a haircut. This is like the last time you'll see the ponytail here for a while. Why? Because I'm getting my life cast made on Saturday. 20 years ago, Todd made a life cast of me, and his skills were rudimentary at that point, although it did turn out fine. And we based all of my makeups from C for Chaos, the great Lost film of Mutantville Productions, which I hope someday to at least have in a format we can share with friends, because it was a lot of fun to make. But I got to play 3 roles as monsters. The Numbers Killer, which is like this Lovecraftian thing with horns coming out of his face and goggles drawn into his face, sort of a melted man kind of look. The Chaos Vampire, which was a jog on. I should do it like that. Which was a just Nosferatu inspired vampire. Only I'm a large dude. I don't look like I'm starving by any means. And this was a full over-the-head cowl and ears, and probably, I think it was like 8 or 9 pieces. The only thing on me that you could see when you looked at the images from that film, my tongue and the whites of my eyes. Everything else was latex or contacts. So the fact that that never saw the light of day, and I sat through that makeup for 9 or 10 hours, you know, just to do like maybe 20 minutes of shooting, it has to be seen. It just has to be seen. So I keep coming back to See for Chaos, and I'm not picking on Jamie, but like, I understand that that does not represent where we're at today. I just think that that film needs to see some sort of, if not release, some sort of sharing with at least our friends, you know, folks that come to our screenings and that sort of thing. Spent 2 days working on my record, which is working title, Pop Package, or Tight Pop Package, if you will. I've been working on this album for 2 years, and just thanks so much to the great patience to my good friend Eddie Snuggs of Snug Record Studios, where I'm recording, because he's put up with a lot of delay, and you know, because I'm splintered, you know, like I have so many interests and so many projects that I'm working on, it's hard to focus on one. That said, I think that all the tracks are recorded except for some of the guitar leads and additional rhythms that I'm having my buddy Tim, the amazing Tim Galloway, by the way, guys, if you don't know who this guy is, greatest guitar player I know personally. There you go, and that's saying something, because I got some friends that can really play. Donnie Christensen, among them. You guys have heard of him here at Mutantville.com. But Tim, whoa, we're not worthy. Let me just put it like that, and I'll just leave it there. You go check him out. He's played with major Nashville acts, and he lives in Nashville as a professional touring and session player. And man, the stuff that I send him songs with a click track. The stuff that he sends back is just like bananas. I mean, crazy, amazing. So it elevates every track he plays on, and the fact that he's willing to do that for me, I'd be a complete asshole not to take advantage of that. So what I've done is I've just kind of curtailed what Todd and I were going to play, and we played our little parts, but for the most part, instead of getting into a long phase of let's practice this song and let's come in with our best solos for this, I've what Donnie didn't play as far as leads, I've basically got all that mixed down and ready for Tim, and we're going through right now. I'm learning a lot about recording, because when you're a live band and you play constantly together, you know, you have a certain chemistry and tightness that is really hard to reproduce if you're not playing together. So this is a studio album. I've never played publicly with the drummer that plays on this, Brad Horde. He did an amazing job. One of the few drummers that consistently hits the drum with exactly the same pressure, and one of the few people that I can speak in sort of musical metaphor. Like I'll say, for example, you know, Brad, on this song, I want to hear a Pretty Woman beat right here, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Just probably the best drummer experience I've had in the studio, no doubt about that. But because we don't play together, you know, I have to hand off those tracks to, say, for example, Todd. You guys all know Makeup Master Todd A. Britt, Savini, FX zombie props guy. And he's the bass player in my band, and which we play like 1 show, 2 shows a year, or whatever. You know, we're a band here and there, not a regular all the time band, and we don't have a regular drummer either. You know, sometimes it's Jeremy, sometimes it's Lincoln, you know, Todd's nephew, and it's just whoever's available when we get ready to play these little gigs. Well, Todd comes in, you know, prepares as best he can and plays with these drums. And, you know, at a listen, it sounds pretty good. You're like, hey, man, you really nailed that. When you isolate that kind of performance that's built in the studio, I mean, you get it down to the kick drum and the bass note, instead of being like this, you know, it's like this, or it's like this. It's like, clack, clack. It's not 100% one thing. So, with Pro Tools and software, you can take that and warp that bass signal to be 100% with the kick drum, and this makes it what they call tight, extremely tight. But it's a lot of tedious work, and so, you know, thank God, you know, Eddie is doing this for me, which makes the record better. It makes it something good enough to go and pay to have it mastered. You know what I mean? Versus just being a recording that we made that's going to sound fine for iTunes, but you start playing it on CDs in different cars and stuff, and the signal is not exactly the same. Sometimes the bass sounds too high, it doesn't sound high enough. Mastering sort of brings all that together in a more polished presentation so that 100% of the time you're going to hear the same thing. So I'm hoping to have this album mastered. I mean, who knows if I'll ever do like a, if you will, solo album again. The rest of my stuff will probably be stuff I've recorded in my own little makeshift studio. But this is like a real studio album, guys. So it's like a big deal to me, and you know, I've been working on it for 2 years. Coming down to the place where once I get Tim's tracks back, they'll be, I think I'm done with my recording, in other words. All the little parts and little percussion that I wanted to do, little backing vocals, all that's done on all the songs. It's 10 songs. I actually laid down the tracks for like 14 songs as far as the guide tracks, and we just finished off 10 of them. The 10 that I thought made the most sense for the album. So, and actually it's 2 tracks with Jody Essex singing on there. You guys know her from Indigo Child, and those were really fun. Just recently comped her vocals. That's an experience too, comping vocals. You let somebody go in and sing a vocal, and you think, wow, man, that was like 4 great takes of that vocal. But then when you isolate again, syllable by syllable, word by word, you'll find that some of the takes are better than others. And that's most singers can't hold up to that kind of scrutiny, but Jody did a great job, and also had Joy Almond, and she did really good. Just provided lead on one song and backing vocals on a couple others, and it really helped out a lot. I'm just really excited about that project. It's much better. It turned out much better than I thought it would, just being purely a studio record. And it's always great to have your songs, you know, recorded and presented the best way they can. And it's a big deal. You know, it's just one of the things I had the impetus to record and write songs, and you know, just another one of those things that brings me great joy. Suffice to say that to get a really great head cast with all the little seams, without all the little seams and lines from a bald head cap, I've decided to go ahead and cut my hair off. Additionally, it makes my wife happy. She hates the long hair, and I said, being a contractor, when it comes time to negotiate for that new job, having a tight haircut never hurts. But that's one of those things that just got to take one for the team. And probably by the time I get around to shooting my cameo in Mother of Vampires, which is that of a pioneer era dude, I'll have grown it back out. Not this long, but like longer, so it looks like a person that doesn't regularly get a haircut at least. And not to mention, it gets this length, and there's just a ton of cleanup that goes with it after every time that you wash it, and it's kind of a headache, to be honest with you. And the only time that I really get anything back from it is when I'm performing. You get a little bit of an image boost when you have long hair and you're playing rock music, but apart from that, it's just, I don't know, I guess it's lazy on my part. I like to get it where I can just tie it back and don't have to mess with it so much. But anyway, vanity. Also, I'm starting a new fitness program, and when you have long hair, it tends to like come loose from your ponytail or whatever, get in your eye and whatnot. And depending on the type of exercise, in this case, I'm going to try to do CrossFit, and it's a lot of getting up and burpees and things of that nature where you're jumping around. And it would just be a major headache, so I'm just going to avoid that and go ahead and cut it clean for that live cast. Have the best live cast. Hopefully, I'll never have to go through this live casting process again, because it sucks. I mean, it just is really uncomfortable. So hopefully that everything will go great with that. Have a great new live cast. 20 years ago I did this, and that live cast lasted a really long time, but at this point it's totally deteriorated. Not to mention I look different, at 20 years on. But this is all for Mother of Vampires. We're going to generate several props from that live casting. A fake neck for another scene where a guy gets decapped, and a fake upper torso type puppet of myself that gets severed. I don't want to spoil that for you, but it's going to be a big effect in the film. And I love the gore set pieces. I mean, that's just the kind of thing that, for me, sets an independent production. If you have a good story and a good reason for it, kind of moves it into a different territory if the effects look really good and aren't cheap crap sci-fi CG. So this weekend I'm going to be visiting our good buddy and MVP player Jay Bird, Jason Wheely, up in Durham, North Carolina. Going to hang out, go check out a toy fair with that guy. Hadn't seen him in a while. I think I might have already mentioned that the Brento's Budget Filmmaking podcasts are, if you want to listen ahead, you can do so on Facebook. Just search us out there. Been doing some new reading. I am handling the documentary The Making of Athena, and I just wanted to update my training on documentary film techniques about how to tell that story. Pardon borrowed that from Street, but I still got that. Still working on that one. So this particular, it looks like a pretty good book, although I think it was written prior to the advent of video being so big, because everything talks about film and transfers. I'll just skip over that part because it's not that useful to me at this point. There's a really, 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 really big announcement coming in regards to Take That. I'll be making that announcement on Friday. If you want to get the news Friday, pop over to the Take That fan page, which you can find by searching Take That on Facebook, and you will be able to see the announcement when it comes out. If you don't do that, you'll see it here on this article next Wednesday. And that's really about it, guys, for this week's update. Lots going on, lots doing, and check it out. Be sure to follow Brento's Budget Filmmaking Podcast. Also listen to MVP Mutant Radio. You can find both of those on iTunes. Although in my case, Brento's, it's not. I don't have enough of them out yet. I haven't published on iTunes just yet, but soon. For the time being, you can see those here and on Facebook, as previously mentioned. So, you guys have a great week. Talk to you next week.